Hi, I'm Candice Lapin, and I wanted to talk a little bit today about the process of really creating a brand. If you are a person that follows me on Instagram, then you know I've been releasing a lot of different PDFs and downloadables about building a brand, because I've definitely had small businesses, and I've also developed businesses that are more brand oriented, right? Where it's bigger, it's scalable, it's more national. I've developed something that I think can go longer, have more longevity. And so what does that process look like? And how do you go from taking, a small company into becoming a brand? And I think you really want to think about the messaging and the whole, when you're looking at your small business, you really want to think about the name, the essence, the colors, the values, the fonts. It's all one big holistic approach. And so I really wanted to go through the process of what I did when I started my business and my brand, and how I really conceived of each individual step. And I think if you have this little handy downloadable already, I urge you to get it, because I want to walk you through the process of really thinking about it. And you can start and stop this video. It's really intended as a short webinar, so that as I do things, I want you to really stop, because I've watched a lot of webinars and I just plow through things and I'm like, wait, what was that? I need you to stop. And so I really designed this with an idea that you should be starting and stopping this, not as like one continuous thing. You really need to give yourself time, thinking time. And so if you are thinking to yourself, I need to start and stop this, that's right. You need to start and stop this, because each piece is something that I want you to give some thinking time to, and I will tell you what I think you need to do. And a lot of people don't realize, but when I was developing my brand, The Ladder Method, the company started out as something very different. We were operating under something called Tutor LA, because I just couldn't think of the name for the longest time. So if you're somebody and you have a pre-existing business and you're thinking to yourself, why isn't this growing? Why isn't this getting better? I want you to really think about, is it a brand? Is this something that's unique? Is it something that clicks in somebody's brain? Is it something that sticks? Because I was 4 years into my business when I completely rebranded and rethought everything through. So it's never, ever too soon or too late to really think about building this. So the first thing I want you to think about is, do you have a name in mind, or do you have a pre-existing business that you think is a really good sort of brand name? And so if you do, I want you to take this worksheet and I want you to write it at the top. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is really think about, if your brand had an avatar, had a representation. I like to think about celebrities because I think they're easy to kind of conceive of, and they're objective, and it's wide ranging, and you can kind of look at different people, and each person has a different philosophy or ethos. And so they represent discrete they have their own mythology, So I want you to think about who is, if you had like a representative that was a celebrity. And the reason I actually ask you to go through this process is a little known fact, but when I was getting my career started, I worked for a guy named Brian Lee, who was a mentor of mine at a company called LegalZoom.com, and I was, I think, employee number 30. And one of the things that he had done really, really well was that he always ended up partnering with a celebrity. But in lieu of that, just to give you kind of background on Brian created LegalZoom with an attorney. He then created a company called Shoe Dazzle, which he sold with Kim Kardashian. And now he has created a company called Honest Company with Jessica Alba. So each thing, when he partnered with somebody that really, really aligned with his brand and the brand values. But in lieu of that, who is somebody that, and the other way to kind of think of this is, if there was a celebrity out there that is like your core customer, that represents a core customer, what would that look like? Is it a Jessica Alba? a, organic mom who wants only organic products in her home? Is it, somebody else like a Gwyneth Paltrow who only, who's conscious, who's into Eastern and Western, who has that sort of brand philosophy? Is it somebody that's extremely wealthy? Is it somebody middle of the road? Is it somebody that's just getting started in life? Is this person, do they live in Los Angeles and New York in a major metropolitan area? Or are they somebody that lives in, Southern Mississippi? You really want to think about who you're trying to target, because you want to think about that type of person in mind, right? Or another person that I think is kind of a distinct person is like a Reese Witherspoon, right? She's like Southern, I believe from Tennessee, although I might get that wrong. She really represents Southern values, and she's got a whole collection of clothing that really represents her sort of Southern roots, right? What are the places that this core customer or celebrity avatar, where do they shop? Are they a Whole Foods shopper? Are they a Target shopper? Are they a Trader Joe's shopper? I don't know why I like grocery stores, because I think there's such a wide range of grocery stores that represent such a discrete value. So I really wanted to talk about now kind of thinking about the essence, right? The colors and designing the brand and thinking about it. In my company, I had 3 colors I really, really resonated with. Gray, I love gray. I love warm grays. Greens and whites. And everything I try to do on the website, on the business cards, all sort of speaks to those colorways. So you want to make sure when you think about your brand, what do you want it to represent? In my case, I'm a learning company. So the things that I always think are evocative of learning are green trees, because tree of knowledge, right? There's all these little interconnections between why I think about something. But let's say you had a baby company, what's something that feels like it represents that? It could be, a really, really light sponge colored pink, or it could be a nice, beautiful, like butter yellow. You want to think about what are the colors that are really going to speak, because those colors really need to be represented on your Instagram, on your website, on your YouTube, on all your products, on your business cards, and on your marketing materials. So you want to make sure it's also something you really like, right? You don't want to pick pink if you hate the color pink. I think it's really, really important to make sure that this brand you're creating doesn't just resonate with, let's say, your core customer, but will also resonate with who you are as a human being, because this is going to be so part of your life. And a lot of people think, oh yeah, I'll build a company in 2 years. I really think you got to give yourself a longer runway than that to really build a brand. Sometimes it happens overnight. More often than not, you're looking at a good investment of time. So you want to pick some things that really represent who you are. And then the other thing you want to think about is, what values does your brand represent? So with me, and when I was designing my brand, I wanted it to really, really represent integrity. I wanted it to feel like there was some gravitas and weight to it. And I really wanted there to be the feeling of like deep knowledge. So because my company is about knowledge and acquiring knowledge and learning learning how to learn, I really wanted it to be this really wonderful place that you walked into where you felt like all the people were really knowledgeable, everybody evoked warmth and kindness, and everybody really represented this sort of quest to improve, right? We all want to improve. So the process of learning is a constant state of improvement. And so I thought, okay, how am I going to convey, all these different values? In my case, I had like 4 to 5 different values that I wanted to convey. But if you think about who your company is and what you want it to represent, you want to think about, in a couple years when somebody's thinking about your company, what should it say to them? What do you want it to say? And I really like the idea of a trusted company, a company with integrity, a company where all the people, say what they mean and do what they say. And like, that's a really meaningful value to me. We always, we're honest. We always speak from our hearts. So when you're thinking about it, obviously if you're just coming from the place of building it, this is going to also evolve over time. As you sort of build and grow, it evolves. So if you're like, oh, I only have like 3 or I only have 2 important values that I wanted to convey, it's not a race. A lot of what I've done has really evolved over time and evolved with me as I've grown and changed. So think about it as more of an evolving thing. And then, you're going to also want to think about other people in the field, right? How are you unique? Like, what are you bringing to the world that's different? And in my case, one of the things in my field of tutoring and education and whatever, I don't really think of the company as a company of tutors. What I was sort of bringing to the field was that we were coaches teaching people how to learn, right? We're not here to tutor your child. We're not really homework helpers. We're not here to just do homework with your child. We're really much more invested in the process of helping children reach like their highest potential. We're here to help them learn how they learn best and how individuals learn best. And that's really an improvement thing. That's about the process of improving so that when the opportunity strikes, that you can seize that opportunity. And if you're a student, that means that our goal is to help you really achieve your dreams and set you up so that when you're applying to college in a couple of years, that you really have the opportunities to apply to the colleges you really want. And that takes a lot of planning and work and strategy. So what I always do is I want to set people up for success, not just in college, but beyond, right? I want people to come back to me when they're in the workforce and say, whatever you taught me, I've applied it for the rest of my life, right? It's changed the person I am in the workforce, the person I am in business, the person I am on set. That's meaningful to me. So when you're going through this brainstorming thing, you really want to think about who are the other people in your field? How are you unique? And then finally, what are some quotes that really represent, who you are? And I think one of my favorite quotes is Steve Jobs. I think his quote is, focus is about learning how to say no. And I think one of the reasons why that's really speaks to me in my company is that we are about the process of really teaching people how to focus. And part of that is actually being able to discern when it's time to play and when it's time to work. And so I always love that, even though it can kind of sound a little harsh, I really see it differently. I see it as it's about taking the time to invest in yourself. And when you are focused and you know how to say no to the right things and the wrong things, kind of your life really opens up. So anyways, that is our short little webinar on how to build your brand. If you have questions for me, you can always reach out to us at getanswers@theladdermethod.com. You can certainly visit us on our Instagram account at imcandicelapin.com, or you can look at theladdermethod.com for more ideas and stories. Reach out to us. If you like this little webinar, definitely like it, share it. If this is on YouTube that you're catching us, then ring the bell, give us some comments, tell us about the videos that you really, really want to see. Thank you again.